What up, guys? Pastor Jelly here. We have been in one of the craziest bull markets in Pokemon card history, and it's crazy to think about all of the cards that have gone up a crazy amount in value over a short amount of time. Right now, buying anything and holding it will almost guarantee to net you a profit. But what happens when the Pokemon card market takes its next downturn? Well, today I'm going to be talking about all of my tips and strategies on how to survive the next market downturn and how you can really bulletproof your portfolio and investments to make sure you're ready for the next opportunity to buy. All right, guys, so the first thing that we're going to be talking about is liquidity. So a lot of times the people who suffer the most in the market downturns are the people that are forced to sell at the unoptimal time. So we're going to be talking about today what to do to avoid that. All right, guys, so the main goal isn't necessarily to maximize returns. It's more about mitigating your risk and not being forced to sell. So there's some strategies on how to do that, but contrary to what most people think, it's not about getting the most returns on everything that you buy. It's more about not being forced to sell when things get bad. So what are the kind of things that can force people to sell in a Pokemon card market downturn? The main thing that I see most of the time is debt. If you take on a lot of debt and you have a lot of debt, you're going to be forced to sell when the market gets bad because you have to pay back that debt. And if you don't have money to service it, you're going to have a big and huge problem when the market goes through a downturn. So that could be poor cash flow, not enough cash flow coming in to pay for any of the debt that you may have and buy extra investments. So it also can be having too large of an inventory. I've seen a lot of people overbuy and accumulate massive amounts of inventory, which is great when the market's doing well, but when the market's not doing as well, it can really leave you in a bad spot. In the investment world, a lot of times we say cash is a position. Most people think cash is bad and you have to have all your money invested all the time. But during crashes, collections appear, great deals happen, competition moves out of the market, and cash is optionality, guys. It allows you to buy when everyone else is panicking and selling, and that's when you can really start building a great portfolio. I accumulated a lot of my portfolio and a lot of my capital during the last market downturn, and no one was buying a lot of this stuff, guys. Booster boxes were $90 a box and nobody wanted them, but it was a perfect opportunity to start accumulating large positions in a lot of great products. One of the main strategies to avoid being overextended and having good cash flow and growing your portfolio is to free roll your positions, guys. And I do this in a lot of areas of my business and a lot of areas of Pokemon cards. So let's say, for example, you buy a booster box and you get a case of them, 6 of them, and the booster box goes up, doubles in price, right? The strategy is to sell half when it doubles, and then you're basically free rolling your whole position, and you're never going to be forced to sell because you got all of your money back from that initial investment. This works in cards too. And this is one of the reasons I say never just buy one copy of anything you're investing in. You always want to have multiple copies because it gives you an exit strategy. When that card or that box doubles, you can easily sell one, get all your money back, and virtually you have eliminated most, if not all, of your risk. The next strategy is eliminating weak inventory, guys. When the last downturn happened, it really taught me a lot about what cards have little, if no, value at all. So a lot of the cards that are performing okay now are only performing well because the market is extremely hot. So you really want to dial in on inventory that's not liquid, that moves slow, and there may not be a lot of demand for it. So that's going to be slow modern, random slabs, overprinted sealed, and trend products. You want to eliminate those from your portfolio and only focus on building the best quality portfolio that you possibly can that has a ton of liquidity, a ton of demand, and that even in a bad market, there's still going to be demand for those items and you can still sell them. All right, guys, one of the things Warren Buffett always says is be scared when other people are greedy and be greedy when other people are scared. So that is never more relevant than right now because we are in a crazy market, a crazy booming market. So this is honestly, in my whole time collecting cards, one of the hottest markets I've ever seen. And it can really put a lot of people in trouble that buy at the peak. You always want to be able to buy slightly below the top. And it's not necessarily about buying at the perfect time, it's about avoiding buying at the absolute worst time. So just keep that in mind, guys, when you're investing, when you're putting a lot of money into this stuff, that if you're buying into hype, there's definitely a possibility that it could go wrong. And one thing that you have to realize, and one of the things in investing, is with great gains comes great potential losses. So if a product can 3x in value, it can also drop just as much. So keep that in mind, guys. Be safe and use the strategies I'm talking about to mitigate your risk. Those are the people that are going to survive the most and have the most success, are the people that eliminate the most risk. The next important point I want to make, guys, is liquidity beats price. A lot of people I talk to get obsessed with the fact of a box being $1,000, $2,000, and how much margin that they made on that particular investment. But how many buyers are there when you need to sell? You want to look at daily sales of items, how liquid it is, how easy it's going to be to sell. Because if your product is worth $2,000 but it takes forever to sell, those are the type of products that in a downturn are going to be really hard to get out of, and you might end up losing a substantial amount of money if you absolutely have to sell. So one of the things I focus on is liquidity first, guys. Even if the margins aren't great, I want to know there's a ton of demand for a product, and if I ever need to sell it, that I can sell it quick and seamlessly. Diversify your income, guys. You want to have multiple ways that you bring in money, and the more things that you can do and the more liquidity channels that you can have, the better you're going to move your product and the more liquid you're going to be. Like we talked about before, liquidity is king in a downturn, guys. The people that have cash to move in when other people have to sell are the people that are going to accumulate massive collections and massive returns over the next however long the market is in that downturn. Guys, one of the things I've learned in investments and working in investment banking is it never feels good to buy when it's the most optimal time to buy, guys. So it takes a lot of a gut check and really moving in when you're not sure, when you're really uncertain, but those are usually the best buying opportunities. It's hard for people to execute on those buying opportunities because it's very uncomfortable and it doesn't feel good. But normally, if it doesn't feel good, you're usually buying at a pretty good time. So the best deals rarely feel comfortable, and sometimes it's doing the opposite of what you think is the best thing to do at that particular moment of time. One of the most important points that I can make here, guys, is you can't predict the next downturn and you can't predict the market. The only thing you can do is prepare. On the same concept of free rolling your positions, the more you can do to mitigate your risk and not overexpose yourself by taking on massive amounts of debt, the better you're going to be prepared for market downturns like this. The healthier mindset, guys, is to not try and predict the market downturn, but mitigate your risk. It's all about mitigating your risk, guys. So those are my tips for surviving and thriving in the next market downturn, guys. Let me know in the comments what you think, what strategies you're using to prepare for the next downturn. And just think about it, guys. Make every decision that you make when you buy or sell, put a lot of thought into it. Really try and mitigate your risk. And just understand, guys, that the Pokemon card market is always evolving. It's always changing. And just because it's hot one day doesn't mean it's going to be hot the next day. And just because it's cold one day doesn't mean it's going to be cold forever. So it's really about playing the long game and preparing, mitigating your risk, and making sure that you try and make the best decisions possible at all times, guys. And me personally, I'm still learning, I'm still improving, I'm still looking for different strategies and ways to be effective in this market. And I want to know what you guys think below. What are your strategies? What are you guys doing to prepare? Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks.